Let me switch this up already so we good to go. Let me fix this last thing. All right. We'll continue that later. It's stop. There we go. Yeah, man, I'm working on the track list from from last week's mix. So Crates episode 46, the Certified Bangers edition, because I want to get that audio replay up on Mixcloud. Now, with most of my mixes, when I use Serato, you can just export your history. So if you played a set, Serato stores every track you played. And when you're on Mixcloud and you're uploading your mix, you can just import a Serato playlist. So inside Serato, I can just say export and it'll go to Serato. And on the Serato website, it'll add it to the playlists. And then you can import that into Mixcloud. Now, sometimes you have to maybe adjust a couple of things. If you did instant doubles, sometimes tracks show up twice. But okay, that's pretty easy. But that episode last week wasn't on Serato. I was using the RX3, the Standalone by Pioneer. So I didn't have any playlist stored anywhere. So I'm listening to this mix track by track and writing it, typing it, so I can import it into Mixcloud. But okay, that wasn't really that interesting for you to hear. Let me just get Mixcloud up here as well, because I got the rest of you on the Restream chat. Let me make sure I can see y'all as well. There we go. DJ Boogie Beats in the building. Salute to you on Mixcloud. I'll just leave that phone on the table so I can see you. We got Mario the DJ in the building. Dzień dobry. I've heard that before. I know that's the greet, and I know I didn't pronounce it exactly right, but salute to you, Earl Whiff. Salute to you, Curtis Cozy is in the building. Desired Admired is in the building. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Arnab in the building. Oh, yeah, for sure, Mr. Arnab. I'll get into that in a second. And we got B Shaw. Appreciate that follow. And Keon Worldwide. Megawatt the DJ. Felix Davis. Salute. Leon Zal is here. Salute. And Costa Rica, and Abdul, salute. So before we continue, Leon Zal, and no disrespect, not to call you out, even though I'm calling you out right now. I asked this last time and you didn't answer. You ask a lot of questions that I answer, but then I see you ask them again, because I remember this title question, and I think it was either on YouTube and I answered it there, or in the podcast before. So sometimes it feels like you're missing the answers that I'm giving. But it's okay beyond that, bro. Let's see. Shit is banging in the building. And let's see. Yeah, you were talking about the Flex 6 shit is banging. I remember that. And Big V is here, of course. Who else? And DJ Abysses is here. I think that's everyone. So yeah, Arnab, I'm glad you liked it. So for the ones who missed it, I started a new series today/yesterday. It was really late last night here in Amsterdam. The new series is called The Breakdown, aka Break It Down. And I've been thinking about this concept for quite some time. You're probably familiar with my Saturday sessions videos, where we do the little interactive scratch sessions, or at least I upload a video and I do some patterns. So let me just take it back for a sec. Let's do a little backstory. When I first started with Saturday sessions, I didn't know what I was doing. What I mean by that is I would just play a beat. I would scratch for 4 or 8 bars. Then I'd stop. And then I'd scratch for 4 or 8 bars. But during my 4 or 8 bars, I would just freestyle. And that was it. That was cool But at a certain point, I thought, no, I have to do this more structured and actually do patterns and try to repeat the patterns, because for a lot of you, if you're trying to learn how to DJ or learn how to scratch, pardon me, if I'm doing 8 bars of freestyle scratch, that's going to be way too much to keep up with compared to me repeating a pattern a couple of times. That makes it a little bit easier to understand. Okay. So I've done that for a while now, that I added more just patterns. And for a while now, I was thinking like, okay, I'm doing these Saturday sessions videos. I'm doing more patterns in there. But if I take it to the mindset for someone who's just beginning, even a basic pattern, which is basic for me when I'm performing it, might not be that easy to understand. So it's been on my mind for quite some time, like, hey, I should actually break down what I do when I'm scratching. And the breakdown is that series. So in every episode, they're going to be nice, short, and concise. So they're not the same as my bigger tutorials where I cover a lot, take more time. These are going to be pretty short, because in every episode, I'll just take one of the patterns from a Saturday Sessions video. And in every Saturday Sessions video, I'll do plenty of patterns, and I'll show how to do that pattern. I'll break it down. So this is really more aimed at the beginner DJs to make it a little bit more understandable. So yeah, that's my new series. The first episode went up a couple hours ago, and I will be doing that way more often. So the videos are going to be like a couple minutes long. I think this one is like 3 minutes or a little bit over 3 minutes. Just one pattern every time. Because first, when I thought about it, I was going to do like 3 or 4 patterns in one video. And I was like, no, that's way too much. Just one pattern per video to break it down and keep it a little bit more, to give you a better overview. So shit is banging. Yes, you asked about the Flex 6 during the stream on Monday. And your question was if that's a good controller. And you're on the 400 now. Okay, but it's broken. I didn't hear that part last time. So look, if you're on a 400, then the Flex 6, the FLX 6, is going to be an upgrade for sure. The size alone is a little bit more comfortable. Like small controllers work, larger controllers, yeah, I mean, for me, they're a little bit more comfortable. Jog wheels are going to be a little bit bigger. And feature-wise, yeah, you get a little bit more. The Flex 6 is somewhere in between the entry level and a controller like the DDJ 1000. So it is an upgrade from the 400. If I had to choose, I would definitely just save up more and go for DDJ 1000, but that is way more expensive. So if this is just something you do for fun at home, you can have plenty of fun with that Flex 6 for sure. For sure. It's not comparable to a 1000, but you're going to pay a lot more for a 1000. So it's a cool controller, but it's not really a controller for me. I'll have some entry-level controllers, which actually are really cool for certain situations where there's no space. You want to bring something just to do something, either in a band and I have to add a couple of quick scratches. I might just bring a very small controller. If I'm going to bring something the size of a Flex 6, for me, then I might as well just bring a DDJ 1000 because they're pretty comparable when it comes to size. Let's see. Oh, by the way, what I want to do today as well, and you can see a little picture in picture already. I received a lot of questions, of course, the last week about the Rev7. Some of these questions are, how big is it compared to this controller or that controller? Is it heavier than? You name it. I have the Rev7 here, and what I'm going to do a little bit later on is I'm going to grab a couple different devices and put them next to the Rev7 to give you a better idea, because I understand when you see photos and even when you see videos, sometimes it's not that easy to tell how big or how small a controller is. Like if you see my live stream, or if you saw my live stream on Monday, when you get that front angle, it looks like a very large or pretty large controller. Then you see the top view, you see my hands on the jog wheel. All of a sudden, it doesn't look that big anymore. So I'm going to compare it to a couple of devices, give you a little better understanding. And yes, I also have the Rev 1. So I will be doing a Rev 1 video, but I still have to record that. My first Rev 1 touch was yesterday. They both came in at the same time, and I spent every second that was available on the Rev 7. Yeah, it is what it is. So let's see. Can I get a Triple X Share the Knowledge hoodie? I currently don't have hoodies, just t-shirts. The thing is, the sites or the services that I use, the fulfillment centers that I use for the t-shirts, they had hoodies. I've tried a couple different hoodies. I'm just not that convinced when it comes to the hoodies, quality-wise. So, yeah, I'm not sure about those. And let's see, who else is in here? We got Steve Barrow in here, first time on the live stream. Welcome. This is the weekly Q&A. So basically, I'm answering questions. So I normally have very little prepared. The only thing I have prepared in this case is that I have some devices here that I'm going to show in a second. Beyond that, this is all about just answering your questions. Felix Davis says, have you ever listened to a person's set and they asked you for your opinion? I mean, I've had people, it's happened. I've been in venues and the DJ was playing, saw I was there, and afterwards they kind of asked for a little bit of feedback. Now, I've been sent tons of mixes, of course, in DMs, like links to Mixcloud, SoundCloud, like, hey, this is a mix. Can you check it out? Now, I'm willing to. I just hardly have time to do it. But, yeah, I've been asked before. And if I heard enough of the set, I'll be able to give that DJ some feedback for sure. Hey, what's going on? And even though you're using your YouTube name now, because I was going to say Kayo, but we got my son in the building. And I keep forgetting how you pronounce the name you chose for your YouTube channel, because now I want to say Chames again, but it's got to be Chames CK in the chat here on YouTube. Starting to upload some gaming footage in the last couple of weeks. So one day I'll probably get on the live with you and we'll do a game. I'll game from the studio, you game from home. Charlie Bax in the building. Breda is here. Okay, then. So Leonzo, yes, I have used Tidal to DJ at gigs before. Now, since I started using Beat Source, I have not used Tidal anymore because when I'm using, for instance, Serato or Rekordbox, I can use Tidal. They have all of the music. They just don't have the same info. So if I have a playlist on Tidal and I open that in Serato, I don't see BPM, key information, stuff like that. Beat Source has all of that. But besides that, Beat Source has all of the intros and edits. Tidal does not have that. But I've used Tidal, I've used SoundCloud, I've used Beat Source. I used to use Spotify when that was still an option. So yes, I have used it. And I mean, if that is the only one you have, you're going to have a lot of music right there to use. So from that regards, it's a great service. But if I compare it to something like Beat Source for DJs, there's no comparison. But it works. For sure. Saucy J, will you be doing the DDJ Rev 1 demo? Oh, yeah. So, like I just said, I have it here. I'll actually put that on the table as well. And yesterday's the first time I actually just took a look at it. And I have to say, it is a pretty cool controller. If we're talking like small-sized controllers, I'll put it up in a sec. But, yeah. They did go for the same line out there. The Rev line is Pioneer's new Serato line. And with Serato, they definitely went for this kind of turntablist battle style setup, which I'm a huge fan of. So they even did that with the Rev 1. looks amazing. So I'm a fan for sure. Sonny just picked up the Reloop 7000. Yes. I haven't had those, but I've definitely heard the stories. I have the 8000 Mark IIs here, but I've heard a lot of good things about the 7000s as well. So yeah, shit is banging. I feel you. Like if it's just for at home, a 1000 could be considered overkill for sure. Chris on the mix was good. See you loving the Rev7. Do you think the next step for Pioneer will be a standalone Rev7? I mean, I think that's what we're all kind of hoping for. You know, that would be the ultimate thing for any DJ who's into the motorized controllers. I think our next step would be to have something that is standalone. So, for instance, the audio replay that I'm working on right now. So last week's episode, the Certified Bangers episode on the RX3, I love that RX series. The standalone stuff, love it. But it's not like the control I have with the Rev7. So if those two could be combined, that would be something. I know Digital DJ Tips did like a mock-up, and I think I saw the picture just flash by. I think they actually just made a combo of that RX3 and the Rev7. But something like that would be amazing. And let's be honest, in the Rev7, when you look at that instant scratch feature, which is a feature that has built-in sounds that you can always use to scratch, even when you're not connected to a computer, that is already a first little step because that is standalone. Every time since I've had the Rev7 here, when I walk into the studio, the first thing I do is turn on the instant scratch, and just play for a couple of minutes. No need to connect it to the computer. No need to start up Serato, just to have that little fun. So that is already a little bit standalone. How hard would it be to add a USB port and turn this into a standalone? Now, would you have to have that big screen? It would be nice. But one thing that I hope, and I don't know if that's possible, I would believe it would be possible to do that through an update. You've seen the screens in the jog wheels. You can get your WAV file, your artwork. I would love it. Even if it's not standalone, I would love it if they could add browsing in that display. The same way you have when you have like a Rain 72 or the S11. That screen isn't that big either, but you do have that browse option. If I could browse within the jog wheel, I wouldn't even look at the computer anymore, most of the times. But if we're talking about a true standalone, having a nice size screen like that RX3 would be dope, but then you have to make the unit a lot larger. So there's always ups and downs to that because, yes, my perfect device would have all of the features we talked about, but then it's not going to be that mobile. It's going to be pretty large. It's going to be pretty heavy. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Emmanuel says, what are some of the mistakes you made early in your DJ career that you wish someone told you earlier? I'm thinking, I'm not sure. I basically had to learn everything myself. And for sure, I've made mistakes. I'll give that some thought. There's nothing that really comes to mind now that makes me say like, I wish someone would have told me. But I like the question though. I have to give that some thought. Terry Fortson, what's good? Really appreciate you sharing the knowledge. Helped me so much. Hey, my pleasure. And let's see. I'm struggling to mix in trap and dubstep together where the key is not close on most of the tracks. Any suggestions what I can do to make that work? Sometimes focusing on key is not that important. Like, let me put it like this. I hardly focus on key. I totally understand that if you mix in key, you're going to get mixes that are going to be sonically, they're going to be more attractive. You're going to get blends that can sound better. But when we do our style of short transitions, that's not the main focus. If you're playing music styles where you have like these 16 to 32 bar type transitions, you're playing tracks together for a long time, then it's definitely a plus if you can match the key as well. With shorter transitions, it's not as important. And I think I always just trust on my ear. Luckily, I can pretty much tell like if two keys are really clashing, or if the keys are not matching and there's instruments in the tracks that are really clashing, then that's a no-no. But in your case, if you're struggling because the key is the issue, I just try to see what happens when you don't focus on the key that much and try to see what kind of transitions you can come up with. Costa Rica says, I'm hoping the Rev7 fits into the flight case as my Flex 6 does. I think they're pretty close, but I'm not sure, and I don't have the Flex 6 here to compare it right now. Flash B, salute to you. I see you. Jules, I see you. Salute. And yes, DNS always. Oh, the Rev7 is porn. Yeah, for sure, buddy. You got Nikita in the building. Do you have any school place? Do you have any school place where you play in Europe? No, right now I'm not playing anywhere. We're on lockdown over here in the Netherlands. Plenty of lockdowns in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I don't have a school. So no, at the moment, nothing like that. With the mixing, hip hop can ride on the snare drum to bring the track in. Ride on the snare drum to bring the track in. Sonny, explain. Give me a little bit more there. Explain, and I'll get back to you. Desired Admired says, do you have any tips about how to handle requests? This weekend I played at a bar, had multiple requests. Have you ever used a request/tip jar? I haven't used the tip jar. I'm familiar with it. I don't really play in places where that's normal. If you're playing in clubs, you're not dealing with tip jars that much. I have had an event at a bar where they normally do have a tip jar. I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's an older video, but the topic is all about requests, and I think it still holds up. So I think I would point you to that video because that's a specific video about dealing with requests. Look, it's different for everyone. I'm not a big fan of requests, and for some people, they love doing it. Some people turn it into a business, like with the tip jar and that type of stuff. Sometimes requests can actually help you if you're having a lot of trouble reading the crowd. Then sometimes a request can help. But not always, because you have to keep in mind that a lot of times when people come over to request something, they're not thinking about the room. They're only thinking about what they would like to hear. Because I've heard so many ridiculous requests that would not make any sense for me to play in the current environment I was playing in. So people would all of a sudden like come with a request for a totally different style. And you have an audience that is not there for that style. So you can tell that a lot of times people might walk into a venue, have no idea what the theme for the night is. They're hearing the music that's being played. They don't really like that music, so they would like to hear something they would like. They'll request that. So you have to make sure you have a good sense of what is supposed to be played. But I've played at events where I was playing the style of music that was supposed to be played there, and there just wasn't a real connection with the crowd. They were not really giving me any tells of what they were liking or not liking. They were just not giving me a lot at all. Then someone came with requests and it would fit the style. So I played what she asked for. And all of a sudden I saw a lot more reaction from the crowd. I was like, okay. And she had one more. And I understood where she was coming from, played that. That worked as well. And then I was like, aha, okay. This gives me a better idea of where to take the music. But overall, I'm not the biggest fan of requests. And if we're dealing with people who are a little bit aggressive or try to be intimidating, see if security can just step in to deal with that so you can focus on your work. That's like a short story, but you can get a longer version on YouTube. Das Hog, I love the recent podcast episode, streaming tips. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm enjoying the new format for the podcast where I can talk about one topic because it really allows me to just dive a little bit deeper, give it a little bit more thought when I talk compared to this when I'm really just going off the top. And I love doing it, and I'll talk about anything I know something about, but it's not going to be as in depth as the podcast is now. So hopefully I can make a lot more episodes about topics and really dive deeper into it. You know what? Maybe I'll do in one of the upcoming podcast episodes. I'll do a new version of a requests of the requests topic. Let's see, DJ Pause. What's a good wireless DJ mic you recommend? My recommendation is that we're going to ask the chat because I don't have a lot of recommendations. I mean, during our live shows over the years, we've used wireless Shure and Sennheisers, and I don't know the models anymore, but they were definitely pretty expensive. So I don't know what your budget would be, by the way. That's a starting point, first off, what the budget is. And I'm not up to speed at what's currently available. Can you compare the Rev7 and the SZ2? No, I don't have one here. And the last time I saw the SZ2 was when it just was about to come out, and I had it here in the studio. So that's years ago now. I think the SZ2 would be bigger. Andy Wurr, I see you. What's good? You're a pro. I'm sure you could scratch with a coin-sized controller. How much harder is a controller compared to turntable scratching? It is just different, and that's a feeling thing. But that is especially for someone who comes from turntables, because then I can compare. If you've never played on turntables and you start on controllers, that's the only feeling you know. But if you started with the moving platters, you get a certain feel. You understand the movement. It makes more sense why you have to bring something back a certain amount. Muscle memory builds faster, I believe. You can do more advanced scratches. So when you then get your hand on like a small controller, the feeling is definitely different. Is it harder? It is a different feeling, and you're not going to be able to do everything you can do on a turntable. But coming from turntables, you will probably be able to do more on a controller than controller DJs. And I've done videos on like I think the first or second Newmark mix track, and I did a Saturday Sessions video with that years ago. And I remember multiple mix track owners in the comments like, how are you doing that with that controller? I have that controller. I cannot do that. Well, that comes from, first of all, a lot of practice, but second of all, just the knowledge and muscle memory you have from your turntables. That really helps out. But the feeling is going to be different. So with every device, you're going to have to get used to the feeling. Even with something like the Rev7, and yes, I'm pointing my hands here because it's right next to me. Even with the Rev7, it has motorized platters, but they have their own feel. Even when you're just comparing turntables, they have a different feel. When I came from the Technics SL1200s and I got my first pair of PDX 2000 by Vestax, those felt different. The torque on those was different. So you have to get used to how hard you nudge it, how much friction you feel. And for instance, with the Rev7, the motorized platters feel incredible, but I have to have just a little bit of a softer touch compared to the turntables. So if you have a small controller, like something like a DDJ 400, you're going to have to find out the right feel and touch to control that jog wheel. And then when you have that muscle memory, you'll be fine with a controller. DJ Vet, salute to you. Jesse wants to know, what software do you use to record a proper mixtape? the moment, I just practice a ton, press record in Serato, hope for the best. All right, so for me, and this is different for different DJs, when if I'm going to record a proper mixtape, first off, I'm not recording a one take. I've done my fair share of one takes. When I started out with mixtapes, my master was a tape, so I just had a cassette deck and had to press record. No multiple tracks or anything like that. If I made a mistake, I had to go back and do the mix again. That's where I started from. Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. If I record something live, then I'm going to label that as live. If you catch a replay of my live stream, that's a live stream replay. So it's going to be filled with like little mistakes, and everything is in there. If I'm recording a mixtape, I see that as, first off, a promotional tool, and you want to present yourself the best way possible. Second, I want it to be something people want to listen to over and over again. Boogie Beats, I see you. I'll get back to your question in a sec. So for a mixtape, I'll record track by track, and you can't do that with Serato. Serato is just going to be like for your one take recordings. And when it comes to like recording per track, there's a ton of software that will work just fine. So I could use, you want something that does have like the option to have multiple tracks there. I've done that in the past with Audition. I still have Audition here. Use that sometimes. I've done that with Cubase. You could do it with Audacity, which is free. I've done it with Logic. I now have Studio One that I also use. Basically, any audio software that allows you to record multiple tracks will do the job. So the free one is Audacity. Audition works well, and Studio One is just my main DAW now, but I think I probably recorded the most of my mixtapes in Cubase. And like I said, they all worked really well. The only difference is every DAW works a little bit different, so you have to get used to the software. That's it. DJ Remix, sorry, did it again, Mr. X. Saw you last time. That time I said it correct, even though my mind automatically went to remix. The human brain will do that. It will see letters, and even if you have words that are written wrong, or if you switch one letter, your brain will automatically turn that around. And I think it's my DJ brain. Whenever I see that Mr. X, that MRX, my brain automatically turns it into RMX remix. So, got you. DJ Mr. X, besides yourself, who's another DJ that you like listening to? All right. I don't listen to a lot of DJs. I've always enjoyed seeing DJs like Jeff. Jazzy Jeff is dope. If I look at DJs here in my surroundings, the DJ that I played with for years was DJ Mani, who's just a very good DJ, especially when it comes to song selection and mixes. I really like his selection and skill level. Like I said, Jeff, I don't really listen to a lot of DJs. I mean, I've had DJs who I really love to see live, but mostly for their performances and also turntablism. There's more. I really like Scratch Bastard, by the way. I think his musical taste and knowledge is crazy, and the skill level is through the roof. So Scratch Bastard. What's the other guy's name? There's one Japanese DJ. I'm thinking what his name is. I'll probably come up with the name later. Hey, DJ Breeze, salute. And Vinyl Touch is in here. Lee A. Robinson, what's good? How do you develop your DJ set for that night's venue? I don't. I personally don't. So what could be a good one for you, by the way, I'm just going to do some shameless plugging again, is if you check out my podcast and you go back a couple episodes, I think you have to start at episode 87 or 88. I did a trilogy of podcast episodes that were dedicated to this subject. So the first one was about music selection. The second one was about music preparation for a set. And the third one was about actually planning a set. And this is something I hardly ever do. I play freestyle. So there is an element of preparation that comes into play. You can't select like a bunch of tracks that you might want to play if you play freestyle. Some DJs will bring everything. I like to make at least a folder, a playlist with like a partial selection of tracks that I probably would like to play. And then I have my folders to fall back on if I'm looking for more music. So I don't develop sets. Now, if there's a special, real special theme, for instance, you could play at a night, and I've played at an event, and this was we were gonna do like a Biggie tribute. Now, in that case, I'm gonna find all of the Biggie and Bad Boy tracks I can find, so I at least have those in my folder. But even then, I'm not creating an actual set. Um, so yeah, that is as far as my own personal preference. That's how I roll. So again, make sure you check out my Share the Knowledge podcast. Like I said, I think it's episode 87, 88, and 89, or 88, 89, and 90. They cover this exactly to the fullest. And you can find that podcast basically anywhere. So Spotify, Apple, Anchor, on my SoundCloud as well, soundcloud.com/DJ TLM. And that's going to tell you a lot. Mario, what's good? Salute. I pre-ordered. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people who've pre-ordered now. Real DJ Rick, I know you can't say anything, but I'm waiting to see the Rev 10. Well, actually, I can, because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this. I don't know where you're getting your information from, because as far as I can tell, there is no Rev 10 on the way. And it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Pioneer to do that either. Normally with Pioneer, when they have some sort of new line, they'll release their flagship and hope that most people buy that one. And then they'll release a basic version. Same thing here. The Rev 7 is out now. I believe the Rev 1, it's been announced, but I believe that comes a couple months later. So that 7 is the flagship. At this moment, it makes a lot of sense because this is a direct competitor to the Rain 1. And then they have the Rev 1, which is like their entry-level version. If they would now come out with the Rev 10, and I honestly haven't looked into this further when it comes to the rumors, what is the Rev 10 going to look like? Is that a Rev 7 with 10-inch platters? Is that what it is? So, I mean, I can wholeheartedly say that with everything I know now, that is not something that's coming soon. But I don't have all information. So, in certain cases, there's NDAs involved, and I can't really talk about stuff. Last week during the podcast, there were some leaks when it came to the Rev 7 and Rev 1, and all I could say then was like, hey, more info is coming very soon. And the next day I dropped a video. In this case, this is not like on some NDA thing. Like, I can't really talk about the Rev 10. As far as I know, and I've asked questions, this is not a thing. And again, it would not make sense for them to sell everyone on this Rev 7 and then to just a couple of months later release something that is then potentially better. Even though I'm not a big fan of 10-inch as like something that is an improvement. What else is there that will make a Rev 10 better? Because I don't know if I would be that excited about 10-inch platters compared to the 7-inch. So for one last time, I've heard nothing, and I've heard people's explanation like that's not how Pioneer normally works. So yeah, to me, it is a rumor that does not make a lot of sense. Saucy J, yes. Hi, John. See you. Oh, that's already 20 minutes ago. It's going to be one of those days. Okay, so there's one more here. Heard about Rev 10, 10-inch platters coming out. G-Rock was good. And on the ones and twos, like I said, like I don't know. Um, Desired Admirer says, I wish they would make a more affordable motorized controller. Um, yeah. I mean, I feel you, of course, because this is a lot of money. My only question would be like, if there would be like a budget version, what are they gonna cut down on to make that something they could actually do? Are you gonna make it? Would it make sense to make it a smaller version? I don't know. The only really smaller controller I know with motorized platters is my S4 Mark III by Native Instruments. And it's cool. It's cool. That is the smallest controller I have that has motorized platters. But I can honestly say those motorized platters do not feel the same as the 7 inches on an NS7 or on a Rev7. And I have to guess the same on the Rain 1. I'll have one here in a couple of weeks, but those are all going to be kind of the same. The S4 Mark III feels different. It is really a smaller jog wheel, but it is motorized, so it's still better than just a static jog wheel. And I'm not even sure how much that is. You could check that. So the S4 Mark III by Native Instruments, that should be cheaper or less expensive. Let me not call it cheaper, but I have no idea how much that cost. And shit is banging. Yes, the Numark Mix Stream, I should be getting that one actually along with the Rain 1, but that was going to be at least a couple more weeks. So I'm looking forward to test that one because that looks like it's the most affordable, I think, one of the most affordable or the most affordable standalone unit that's available right now. The Disorder says, I would love something like the Technics SL DZ 1200. That was one of the most beautiful devices. I remember it didn't work flawlessly, but just if we're just talking about looks, woo, that thing was something special. And shit is banging. I don't know if DNS is still there. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, that at a certain point, I think Renee had one at Soul Food. I think that's the first time I saw it, like for real. That was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece of tech for sure. DJ Kylo, salute. Will Tidal work without the Wi-Fi connection? So you mean like the offline locker thing? No, that's also like a thing that you get with BeatSource. They have their offline locker. I can store 1,000 tracks offline. And I don't think any of those streaming services offers something like that. DJ Mr. X, I wonder if you can use the screen from the NS7 III on this unit. Well, on the Pioneer? No. I don't think they're going to make that compatible. But I understand what you mean. Like the fact that you could have the add-on screens. Like the NS7 line was just dope with that. I have the original NS7, and even that one came with like a separate detachable, the NSFX, like an effects unit. And then later on with the 2, you had like the separate screens, and I think the 3 just came with the screens, but that was really dope. Something like that would be cool to add on to this as well. Let's say you could have a standalone version with like the 3 screens like you have on the Numark with the motorized platters. Sorry, I keep pointing at this, but you're not seeing it. We're going to jump to the table in a second and compare some controllers, by the way. Question, do most DJs use mobile internet to DJ? Because you just said you use Tidal to DJ. I'm a beginner. So no, I have used Tidal a couple of times, and in that case, I did need a connection. Now, in my case, I mostly play in venues, so I'm not a mobile DJ. The venues that I play at here, they'll have an internet connection, and most of the times I can use their network. And with venues, a lot of times they might have a public network that the patrons can use, but then they also have like this backstage network for the crew and the people who work there. I get on that network, and I'll have a solid internet connection. So if you're going to DJ and you're going to use a streaming service, and some streaming services can be using your DJ software. So Tidal, SoundCloud offers that as well. And then you have BeatSource. You need an internet connection unless you get BeatSource's subscription where they offer you an offline locker. And in that case, you can store a bunch of tracks offline. DJ Money Green, salute. So Boogie Beats, we got Favor here as well on Mixcloud. Salute, Favor. So just real quick, Boogie Beats, you asked how long I've been DJing for. I have to say it's going to be, I think I passed 28 years now. Yeah. So it's a pretty long time. Am I saying that correct? Let me see. Yeah. We're beyond 28 now. So pretty long time, and still having a lot of fun doing it, and being able to just go from DJing at home to now speaking to people throughout the world, talking about this passion that we have. So yeah. Dark People, let's see. Do you recommend the Range 62 or the Numark Scratch? I mean, the 62, I was never into the Rain mixers. I was into the Pioneer mixers. I've played on the Range 62 a couple of times, and it was a really good mixer. It just didn't feel right for me because I was used to my Pioneer workflow. But now, would I get one now? The Range 62 compared to having something like the Range 72 or a Range 70. If we're talking, if you can get it for a great price, then yeah, maybe. I think a 70 or 72 would be more in line with just the developments we've had, because they were developed for older versions of the software. The Numark Scratch I've never tried. Hey, Marty Mar, I see you. Salute. Shit is banging. I appreciate that sub. Troy, let's see. From Pittsburgh, what's good? How can you get more gigs? That is a perfect one for the podcast as well, because it's just there's no easy answer for that. That's a very long, extended answer. There's not just one thing you have to do. You have to do a ton of things, but you're gonna have to network, promote yourself, and it's really hard for me to talk about this in the current times, because for a lot of people, gigs are just not a thing. I know in some places that's not the case, and gigs are available. I've not been in gig mode for close to 2 years now, because we just don't have gigs. But you're going to have to get yourself out there. You're going to have to network with all the people in the venues that you might want to play at, get to know the DJs, get to know the promoters, get to know the owners, so they know of you. Know that you're a DJ. You're going to have to get your material out there. You're going to have your social media presence. People are going to have to be able to find you online, and also be able to see and hear you online, what it is that you actually do. Yeah, so no easy answer. Fonts for you. What's the best way to use an external drive for your music? Seems like it takes a MacBook a while to find the files. I've never been a fan of the external drives for DJing. That's what we're talking about now, right? I've never been a fan of that. Even though when I'm DJing here in the studio, the music I use in Serato is not on my computer. It is on my on an external drive connected to my studio computer. Sorry, I just got distracted. I don't know why my GoPro there just restarted out of nowhere. I just saw him do it. Okay. So yeah, I've never been a fan of that. I don't want to, like, if I'm doing a gig, I have to already depend on that computer to work. I don't want to now have an extra device that has to work, and if anything is wrong with the connection, or somehow if you plugged it in and then you plugged another device in, and now some computers will give that external drive, when you plug it in, they'll give it another number, another letter. So all of a sudden it's a different drive, and then your software might not be able to find it at first. I try to stay away from that. How do you get inspiration to create a wordplay routine? Well, I don't, so that's not something I can really speak on. And like, first off, I would suggest just listening to music. That's the thing. Like, if you're gonna decide now that you're gonna do a wordplay routine, um, I don't know. That's a little bit. It's different. I wouldn't approach it that way. But then again, we are in the internet era. Let's say you do think of a topic, you could actually Google song lyrics and find song titles that have the topic you want to use for your wordplay. You can probably even just Google for lyrics to find that word in different songs. So there's multiple ways, but that's not inspiration. That's just tools to create a wordplay routine. I think the inspiration has to start with a song. I guess in most cases, people will hear a song or hear a line in a song and think like, "Oh, dope! I'm gonna use that." That would be how it would happen for me. Dark people, I appreciate that follow. Real DJ Rick, if you were to move from your home city to another city, what would be some good ways to get your name out? Well, I mean, we're living in the internet era, which makes it easier to connect with people from all over. First off, so I mean, you could do research in advance before you even move to a city to find out what are the clubs there. Search through hashtags to find people who actually live in that area, or not through hashtags. Just search in that area for users from that area. There's ways to connect with people before you even go there. But I've never been in that situation, so I can't speak from experience when it comes to that. Sam Abdallah, I see you. Salute. Quick question. I'm getting drift on the Rain 1 when I play two identical records side by side, same BPM. No insight here, actually. No. So if anyone in the chat knows, I hope they can help you out. I have no idea what could be causing that, actually. Danny Rojas, I see you. I appreciate that follow. Check this out, peeps. What up, what up? Just Right says Rev 10 as well. I don't know. Again, I would not see that as a logical move by Pioneer. But just imagine, like, I've seen the reaction to the Rev 7 in the last week. Like, a lot of people are going to buy this. I've even seen a lot of people who are selling their Rain 1s to get this. What if we all get that? And then Pioneer says, oh, you know what? Now that you all just bought the 7, here's the 10. It doesn't make sense to me. And they really presented this as a flagship and the Rev 7, the Rev 1 as the entry level. So it will be a difference of strategy for Pioneer if this was now supposed to be the 7 is like the mid and the flagship comes later. So I doubt it. DJ Dell, I see you, yo, DJ Dell. So Sam, that's weird about the drift, indeed, but I don't know. DJ Garv, what up? Mr. X says, in reference to the Rev 7 being standalone, I wonder if the detachable screen and a 7. Oh yeah, I talked about that. Yeah. Oh, is it true? It works with the SX3? That's dope. I went to an event where a request was randomly a reggaeton song. Hey, like I said earlier, with requests, people can go all over the place with that. Like, they are not thinking about the current mood or anything like that. Yo, Boogie Beats, 34 years. That's a long time. That is a long time, bro. Man. So you got me beat in that department for sure. So you know what? I see more more questions here, but I am quickly gonna skip so we can do a little bit of a comparison thing for a second. So for some of you who ask questions, if I haven't gotten to your question yet, I will continue with the questions a little bit later. But for now, Let me fix this real quick. All right. Oh, wait, I can actually keep my headphones on. Let me see if this is going to work. I have a second mic set up so we can still have normal audio here. This should work. Yes. Tighten that up a little bit. All right, so first off, the Rev7. And in my first look video, I basically described this as a controller that has like an S7 in the middle. So this is an S7. So first off, you can tell, like size-wise, it's pretty close. This is a little bit deeper, but we're talking about maybe an inch. It's a little bit higher, but then let me just put it in front of it. The width is almost the same. If I just place that on top, like it is almost the size of an actual S7. There's not much of a difference there. So it's not like I was just saying it because it has like a similar layout. It really feels like you're playing with something like an S7. It has that size. Okay, the only thing is if I'm not seeing the chat, maybe you have specific questions about this. So I actually just will bring the chat along here. And I'll scroll back to the questions a little bit later. I think I even see a super chat right here on YouTube. Mark, I see you. Actually, I'm going to do that super chat while we're at it. Do you think an aftermarket mod for the Rev7 making the platter vinyl surface slightly larger will be possible? I think it would be possible. I don't know how that would feel because you're using the sides to nudge. If you would put something on top with a wider surface, you're going to have a harder time to reach that side. So, I mean, I think it's possible. I just don't know if it's a good idea. All right, Gus Gomez was good. Herman was good. Mixing Mel was good. Salute, salute, salute. Kevin, I see you. Are you a request DJ? No. No, I'm not. Greg is too hype. Appreciate that follow. Miss Kid, I see you. And we'll get into the rest a little bit later. Mark G, I appreciate those bits. So I see all of you, but I'm going to get into these devices here. I'll just leave the chat here if you have any specific question about the device that I'm dropping on the table. So that was the first one. Just wanted to show you that S7 in comparison to the mixer section in the middle of that Rev7. They are roughly the same size. I'll actually just disconnect this so I can move it around a little bit because for some of the devices I have here, I'm going to have to pull this to the side. So let me just turn that whole thing off. All right. So next up, I actually showed this one during the mix on Monday. Here we have a DDJ 1000, the SRT edition. But I received a question like, how does the size compare to a DDJ 1000? Well, as you can see, they are pretty close. Again, I think we're talking about maybe an inch wider when it comes to the Rev7. The Rev7 is also a little bit higher, but it makes sense. It has motors in there. And I'm going to put them side by side for a sec so you can see that. And check this out. That sounds really expensive. Yeah, they're about the same. Let me put it to the side. So that's a very small difference. All right, it's time for a little workout. Oh my God. Ah. Woo. It is incredible how heavy this guy is. And I received that question as well. Like people wanted to know, like, how does the weight compare to an NS7? I forgot the numbers. I think it's 23 compared to 35 in pounds, that is. But just trying to I lifted this one up, then I grabbed this one. Man, it is so much heavier. Now, of course, the NS7 was built like a tank. I think the entire thing is like metal, but you feel that, and that is not a plus when it comes to being mobile. So, man, it is super, super heavy. So this is the original, the NS7 1. I still love the unit, even though what they did afterwards on the Mark II with like the capacitive touch, with the better performance pads, because this one still has those small little buttons. These were your Q performance pads. From the Mark II on, they went with the actual MPC pads, which feel a lot better, of course. But yeah, it is bigger. That is for sure. But it's not like it's a lot bigger. So the Rev7 has a very nice size, and the weight is much better. Carrying an NS7 is definitely a good workout. In my case, I have a flight case, a metal flight case for this. Luckily, it has wheels, but I had to carry this thing around a lot. And yes, that is a full workout. It's also a little bit broader, I think, or a little bit deeper. Let me check that for a sec. Like an inch, not a lot. All right, here we go again. Ah! All right, so these are just about the same width, as you can tell. This is the RX3. And I think if we compare this, let me see. The RX3 is just a little bit deeper, but it's almost the same. So just imagine a standalone version of this with a screen like that. That will be pretty awesome. But then again, if you have a device like this, but you want to have the same size jog wheels and same size mixer, this is going to be a larger unit. All right, there's the little guy. That little Rev 1 is here. So as you can tell, that is a substantial difference right there. Paul, no, I do not have a DDJ 800 here to compare. No. Controller wise, what else can I grab? A DDJ 400. I'll actually show that next to the Rev 1. But Paul, yeah, I think you're getting quite a lot for the price point, like that 270, something like that price point. That is a very good price point. Favor, I see your question. I'm going to get to that too. Before I move it, I mean, you can't tell. Like they did go for the exact same type of layout with your pitch control at the top, your performance pads in the middle, even though of course they're a lot smaller compared to this, and the paddles, which I'm a big fan of. So you are controlling stuff the same way. And in this case, you only get like one browse knob in the middle. I love having it on both decks. Makes it a lot easier for me to not make mistakes and load anything into the wrong deck, because if I'm here, it's because I want to load something onto this deck. With this, yeah, you have to pay a little bit more attention that you don't press that wrong load button. All right, so how big is this compared to other entry-level type controllers? This is the one we can compare it to. That's the DDJ 400, and this is the Rev 1. So as you can tell, a little more size to it. The jog wheels are also a little bit bigger compared to what you have on your DDJ 400. And this is the thing for me, why I love that Rev layout that they went for. 400 is a little bit deeper though, but this is what I love about that layout. Having your performance section in the middle and just having that clear empty space just for the jog wheels, instead of having everything underneath here, a lot of knobs in between when I'm moving. None of that is happening here. I know for a lot of DJs that won't matter. For me, that is something that is important though. So that's the only one I think I can compare this to now. I mean, I have a DDJ. No, what else do I have here? Yeah, like a small Native Instruments controller. I think I have an S2 laying around, but I don't know if anyone needs to see that as a comparison right now. So check this out, peeps. You really think that's an ultimate question? The 1000 SRT versus the Rev 7? Like for me, it's never really a comparison thing, because if one has motorized platters, that's a winner for me. But that's me personally. Does the Rev 1 fit in a backpack? Well, that depends on your backpack, bro. So which backpack are we talking about? Let's do a little test. Mike, if I'm choosing between Rain 1 and Rev 7, I'm choosing Rev 7. All right, so let's check it out. The 400 can go again. All right. Courtesy of Gus Gomez, we're going to do a little bag test. I have a bag right here. This is a Jetpack bag. They're prime, the big one. So normally if I have a controller to carry, like this is where you normally place your mixer. This is used for mixers, but I've had small controllers that I was able to carry in here. So I think I've carried the 400 in here. And if I remember correctly, that barely made it. So I'm going to have to wrestle. That is like a tight fit. And that is the 400. So I think that already answers the question, Gus. I mean, I don't even have to really try, right? Like, that is gonna really be, no, that's not gonna work. So it doesn't fit into this Jetpack Prime XL, which is a pretty large bag. So to be honest, I don't know if that's going to happen with other bags. Yes. So no, I do believe that they make a special like soft case bag for the Rev7 and for the Rev1. So not flight cases, but more bag style carry carry stuff. So that would be the better option, I have to guess. All right, I'm going to do some scrolling right now for all the questions I may have missed. Popping that one back into place. Let's see how far I have to go back. So I think we were somewhere around. Damn, there's a lot of new questions in here. Wow, I have to scroll back that far? Yo, y'all been busy. All right, crazy delay. Yeah, I remember that one. Let's see. Busted Bus, I appreciate that follow. Man Bear Pig, salute to you. Check this out, peeps. What do you think that Pioneer's intentions were when releasing the Rev7? Well, I mean, I've seen different stories. I've seen stuff like that. It's made for like the open format DJ and something else. For me, when I saw it, I was like, this is made for me, for DJs like myself. DJs who either come from a turntablist background or want to add that to their style, just the way the layout is placed with the turntable sections in battle style. And I think this just logically falls more in line with their current equipment. So I'm not totally sure, but to me, they knocked this one out the park. They really knocked this one out the park. Of course, there are things you can improve always, or suggestions like to make it even better. Like I said, I would love if I could browse inside of that display, not just see the WAV files and artwork, but if I could just also browse there, same way you can if you are on an S11 or a 72, that will be an improvement. Maybe that's something they can add. But just to have that type of mixer in the middle of it, to me, is amazing. And the jog wheels feel great. They're motorized, which is also, I thought, for a more niche part of the whole DJ scene. But it turns out, like, I think a lot of people, the Rain 1 was doing really well. So I guess a lot of people do like the motorized platters. So I think they made the right choice by stepping into this realm, and they did it the right way. Like they came out, they came out with something that is really, I mean, it not only holds its own. I think it is on top right now. It falls most in line with what a lot of us DJs have. We'll have that style of mixer in the middle with our turntables in the battle style, and the displays just add on to that. The SE2 is bigger than the Rev7. Yes. What about the sound quality? As far as I know, and I've not done any scientific tests, but it is what they claim. The Rev7 is supposed to have sound quality that is equal or even better than their 900 Nexus 2 mixer. And they do have that. I think it's the I forgot the name, something like the SES processor. Like one of their top audio processing units is inside the Rev 7. So when it comes to the audio quality, it should be very good. Bully McGuire, appreciate that follow. DJ Pause, yes, my pleasure. And yeah, Mike for life. So the Rain or Rev 7, I take the Rev 7. Let's see. Garv, I appreciate that follow. Video Brownsville, when you first started, how long did it take you to get good at scratching? To be honest, I mean, I did not pay attention to the the months and possibly years that went into it. I was just doing it anytime I could. Any minute, hour that I could spend, I was spending time learning how to mix and basically learning how to scratch at the same time. So I want to say months and months and months and months and months going on years, and I still have a lot of room for improvement. But to be good enough to actually go out and play, even that I'm not sure. I was just doing so much, and at first, like the first pretty long time, I was not focused at all on trying to get gigs. I was just having fun here, learning how to DJ, getting better at it, having parties here, uh, um, just house parties at the house. Uh, so I don't know. I never really kept track of time in that way. So shit is banging. I forgot to ask. You said because about the mic question, you always book for the artist the Shure SM58, but the wireless version, right? Because I think we've used the wireless SM58 a lot as well. Mohammed is a question, and most of the Moombahton tracks do not have a proper intro and outro. Even some of them don't have any drop. What do you think about mixing Moombahton tracks? Is that a fact though? They don't really have proper intros and outros. I mean, the Moombahton tracks I've heard sounded like they had a pretty consistent, like pretty normal structure with actual intros and build-ups and some sort of drop in there. But I don't play Moombahton a lot, so I'm not sure beyond that. So Leonzo, you had another question about Tidal. Can you search for music in Tidal without the Wi-Fi? I would have to say no. Most likely not, because you're going to have a connection with Tidal to get into their library. Pretty sure. Swift Studios, salute. Have you used Serato Studio? Man, I still haven't really gotten around to it. I was at Amsterdam Dance Event. I was with the peeps from Serato. We had a DJ City event in the same building where Serato was, the same floor, and they had a room in the back where they had a studio set up, and they showed me studio, and it actually looked pretty cool, but I never had the time to dive into it yet. Afternoon, sweet Leo. Elie Robinson, my pleasure, for sure. How do you grow your following slash fan base as a club slash bar DJ? Um, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, building a following. I mean, partially you can do that while you're playing because if people hear you for the first time and they like you, uh, they might want to start following you. So during your gigs, there should be a way that people can actually know who's playing. But I think beyond that, it's what you do outside of the bar and club that can grow your fan base more by promoting yourself, having footage of yourself playing mixes and all of that. Um, so more people can discover you. But beyond that, it's kind of hard for me to answer just like that, honestly. Arm TV, I saw you already. What's good? Just a comment. I have to go back to the scratch tutorials. I mix Latin stuff, but after your session on Monday, I have to step up my scratching skills for my 90s hip hop. I mean, Like, look, you don't have to scratch, but I mean, especially if you're like playing hip hop sets, it kind of is part of it. So it's fun to scratch, and in a '90s hip hop set, it's a natural fit for having some scratches in there. Costa Rica says Pioneer did it with the SRT 1000. That came out first, and the Flex 6 came out months later. So I don't really see the comparison. First off, that was not months. That was not months. I remember when the Flex 6 came out, and I've had that SRT 1000. I think I had that thing in the house here for a year. That was not a couple of months. But I don't see the comparison because the 1000 is like one of their like top level controllers. A Flex 6 is not comparable to 1000. So they had like their entry level 400, and then you had the 1000. And then later on, mostly for the people who have a 400, they came out with that Flex 6. So for the person in the chat who we had first, if you're just doing it for playing at home, that 1000 is probably too much. So you're sticking to your 400. Now they have a Flex 6. So if you do feel like, hey, you want to add a little bit more, the Flex 6 could be a good solution. I don't think anyone who bought a 1000 would feel like Pioneer played them because now they released a Flex 6, because the Flex 6 cannot compare to a 1000. So that to me does not seem like the situation that people are trying to sketch here, where they're saying like, hey, there's a Rev 7, but there's a 10 coming. And like I said, I don't think there's a 10 coming. I've heard nothing. I've heard denials, and that wouldn't make sense, because if there would be a 10, then that would be something that would be potentially, quote unquote, better than a 7. So if everyone goes out and buys a 7, and then a couple of months later you release something that is better, a lot of people would feel, you would hurt some feelings. I don't think you're hurting anyone's feelings who buys a 1000 SRT and now they have a Flex 6, which is basically, well, not in the same league as your 1000. So I don't think that's the right comparison. Mix and Mel, like, yeah, I mean, if they would come out with something bigger, then yeah, if it would only have bigger jog wheels, I don't think that's enough. Then you would probably have to come out with a 4-channel thing. Let's say you're gonna build something and it doesn't have like an S7 in the middle, but it has more like a 900 Nexus 2 in the middle, and then 2 jogs. I don't see that happening though. Rock City, New York in the building. And let's see. Fon Solo, I see you. Salute. And Favor, I haven't forgotten you on Mixcloud. I'll get to you next. I have to remind myself to check the phone. Have you experienced any Q point drifts in Serato DJ Pro? I'm using the Rain 12 Mark IIs, and it's really bad in version 2.5 and later. Okay, so 2.4.6 is more stable. Okay. No, I mean, I don't have the Rain 12 Mark IIs. I have the Mark 1s. I haven't used them in a while, and I haven't done a proper comparison between that. But that's pretty, that's messed up, though. Like, if the newer version gives you the issue and the older version is more stable, I don't know what could be the cause of that, though. So the Force. Now, I wasn't really comparing like the Rev 7's layout to the S7 because they are like really similar. But I talked about that in my first look video. Like, it's basically like an S7 in the middle. So I was just doing like a size comparison that you can tell that it is almost the same size as an actual S7. Yeah, Costa Rica, like to make the Rev 7 more budget friendly, they would have to remove all digital readouts for start. Yeah, they would probably have to put like a different like audio interface in there, and probably no displays on there, stuff like that. All right, um Leonzo has a question. The question is, how can I DJ a gig perfectly without it turning into a train wreck? So those are like polar opposites. Like the perfect gig would mean everything goes right. Train wreck is like it goes totally wrong. So that is a big difference. First off, I don't think you're going to have a lot of perfect sets, and that is not something that should be your focus. Your focus should be to drop a great set and rock the crowd that you have there. I'd rather rock the crowd and make 10 mistakes instead of like having a quote unquote perfect set from a technical standpoint and have the crowd just enjoy it, but not as much as the other set. So, train wreck is when everything goes wrong. Perfect is the other side of the spectrum. So I don't really understand the question. But your focus shouldn't be on how to DJ a gig perfectly. I don't think that should be your goal. Your goal should be to rock that crowd to the fullest. And that does not always mean using the best techniques. It's going to be more about your song selection than anything else. And yeah, that's all I can say about that. DJ S from Greece in the building, using the SL2 and SL3 with the full analog Rain 56 mixer and turntables. Using also the Akai LPD8 to control Serato. Playing a lot of vinyl records also. If I go to the latest mixers, what do you think about Rain or Pioneer? Well, for me personally, it's more Pioneer because I'm used to that workflow. But if you're used to your Rain, I think you should look at probably something like the Rain 70 or 72. They're all great mixers. You cannot go wrong with one of Rain's or Pioneer's mixers. They're both great mixers. I'm just more a fan of the Pioneer mixers. Like the feel a little bit more. Love that Magvo Fader Pro. The onboard effects, I'm really used to those. So I just prefer that. But I have a 72, and I enjoy playing on that all the time as well. Great mixers. So you're probably going to feel more comfortable on the Rain, but maybe it is something you just need to try out first. Check this out, Peep says, if the Wi-Fi cuts off using a streaming service, dooms a day. Not if you're using BeatSource and you have an offline locker. That is what's so dope about it. The fact that you have that and that can always save you. So maybe you won't have access to all your playlists anymore, of course. But to have 1,000 tracks just there, even if you lose your Wi-Fi, that's pretty big. Albert says, I'm considering buying my first set of turntables. Should it be straight tone arm or S-shaped tone arms? I don't think that is the most important thing. The one thing you should focus on is making sure you get direct drive turntables. That is what needs to be the case. Belt drive, yeah, no. Beyond that, I don't know. I've worked with both. Like I've had my SL1200s. They've had the S arm. I've used Vestax turntables for a long time with the straight arms. Now with my VL12s and the reloops, they have the S. I don't know. They both work great, but you want to have belt drive. All right, Favor, because I've said it 3 times now. Now I have to start reading it. I started DJing when we wanted to have a graduation party for our daughter. She was graduating from high school, and at that time, I couldn't afford a DJ. So I broke out my iPad, downloaded DJ, and was basically a half step above just an iPod. Yes, I loved it and couldn't stop. How did you get started? Was it a conscious decision, or did you happen upon it like me? Hey, and you're absolutely right. If you just have an iPad and you have Algorithm DJ, that is a step above an iPod. You can actually DJ with that. I've done one of my live streams, my Crates live streams, when there was a snowstorm. I did it with just the iPad and Algorithm DJ and was able to do like a full set with that. Of course, you don't have the same tangible control compared to when you have like a controller or a whole turntable set, but it works. You could rock a party with Algorithm DJ on an iPad, 100%. I mean, again, it didn't start for me because I wanted to go out and play in clubs. I think I was infatuated with DJing when I first like saw and heard it, Like I remember back in '83, seeing the Rock City Crew, hearing like some scratches there, or even before that, Herbie Hancock, hearing Rocket, hearing that scratch break in there. I mean, the sound caught my attention, but the whole vibe of hip hop, like when I saw the Rock City Crew video, that really caught my eye as well. And I was breakdancing outside on a cardboard with a little stereo set, which was supposed to be my boombox, and just fell in love with the culture. And we had like a normal turntable in the house just for just playing music. And once I got my hands on that, I did really like the fact that I could manipulate it. Like the cassettes you would play, and you couldn't really do much more with it. But with the vinyl, just being able to touch it, move it back and forth, yeah, I mean that just sparked my imagination and just started from there. And Kevin says, "Where I live, it's all who you know." Well, that's why I was talking about networking, because knowing people is important. I've never been a big fan of networking, but it is something that has to happen. Hey, Rob Manga, salute, salute, salute. And that's from a long time ago. I had to pause the chat, so maybe some people have left already. But salute to you, brother. So yeah, like networking is about connecting with people, knowing people, and having people know you, so that people know who you are and what you do. That is important. Blessing, DJ Herman. Ganjaman, have a good time. And Mixing Mel, thank you for the kind words. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Booba King DJs, I appreciate that follow. Salute to you. So yes, the Rev 1 video. I don't know exactly when that will be coming out. I haven't shot anything yet. I've tried it for a second yesterday for the first time. So hopefully in the coming days I'll have some time to just check it out, and I will drop a first look video, because I do believe that is an interesting device, especially as the at the price point. Yeah, and it is something that does fall in line with like other types of setups. So yeah, video will be coming for sure. But I also have like that RX3 that I want to shoot something with as well. Let's see. Yeah, G Washington, I agree. Like Pioneer came in strong with this one. Mistress Beats, I appreciate that follow. Um so again, salute Leon. I think I saw you already. Um, Curtis had a question. I saw the question already. Yeah, with all the tech you're showing, I'm curious as to whether any turntables have died on you over the years. Technics 1200s were always referenced as bulletproof. Yeah, I can tell you they're not bulletproof. Uh, I've been in a lot of clubs where the Technics suffered and were not in great condition. I've had issues with my own 1200s, but those were mostly like wiring issues, because all the wires are built in. Anytime you have a wiring issue, you have to like your whole turntable has to go to repair. That's why I prefer the newer turntables with all the detachable cables. Yes, I've definitely killed turntables. Not saying it was my fault, but I have killed turntables, especially with travel. I've traveled overseas with some PDX 2000s, and on multiple occasions, like all the little feet just broke off. So they were in flight cases. You can have flight cases. You can have all the fragile stickers on there that you want to. That personnel at airports will not respect that at all. I had a set of brand new turntables, also PDX 2000s. Never used them before. Brand new, went into a flight case. We had a show in, I think it was Poland, and when we arrived, like 3 out of the 4 legs on both of the turntables broke off. I mean, I could have them under there. So during the gig, I just had to keep them in the flight case, and then everything will kind of stay in place. But yeah, that was a mess. Beyond that, I mean, I haven't had too many crazy accidents with equipment over the years. Paul K says the Rev7 instantly took my top spot on the Dream setup. But yeah, it is $18.99. Rap Fanatic says the Numark NS7 III versus the Rev7. Great question. And again, for me, it would still be the Rev7. Not because the NS7 III isn't a great controller, because it is a great controller. But even with all of the capacitive touch knobs on the mixer, even with those screens, and those screens are dope, and the better pads, I still prefer this layout with that mixer with all the pads in the middle. That's the only thing. Like, no other controller can really compare to that for me, because now it feels so much more natural. That's how I'm playing when I have turntables. I'll have a mixer like that in the middle. So now all of a sudden your switch between that setup and a controller becomes a much smaller step. When the NS7, the mixer section is different. Those knobs are different. How you start your effect is different. But I'm not taking anything away from the NS7 III. But if I had to pick one, I'm picking the Rev7. DJ Hitton says the SRT is more club standard, as the Rev7 is more battle or club, like a mobile unit, in my opinion. Well, yeah and no. Yes, the SRT is more club standard because it looks a little bit more like if you would have something like a DJ M900 and some CDJs. In that regards, yes. But then again, there are a lot of DJs like myself, but other DJs who play like me, and they'll play with an S9 or an S7 and turntables, or even if they're playing with like an S9 and CDJs, Rev7 will feel more like that compared to an SRT. It is all about that mixer section for me. That makes the biggest difference. Because there's a lot of DJs that play like that. But I understand what you're saying. A lot of other DJs will play on a 900 Nexus 2 and 2 CDJs, and then the DDJ 1000 really feels like that. Love the jog wheels on that. They're the same as the CDJ 2000. But then again, if I have to choose between moving platters or the static jog wheels, moving platters all day. And CDJ 3000, like Vinyl Touch is saying, I mean, that is a different level of CDJ. Love the feel on that. Love the feel of the CDJ 3000 jog wheels. But if I have to choose, and you have a setup with two CDJ 3000s or a Rev7 all day, baby. I'm sorry, but that's personal. Moving platters over other jog wheels any day. Ruckus was good. The Ruckus, yes, that was my. I mean, it's a long time ago. I know I'm running behind, but like, to me, that was an apples and oranges example, like an SRT compared to the Rev7. And so I totally understand, like, Hitton and Ruckus as well, your story about industry standard and battle layout. The thing is just, I know a lot of DJs who play in clubs, but they all play with the battle layout. So for a lot of us, this is incredible. Call 1990, I appreciate that follow. Salute. Booba King says, have full S11 setup and DDJ 1000 SRT for smaller gigs and backup. A wicked controller, but thinking I'll be switching up to the Rev7. If you prefer the platters, yes. And that mixer section will feel more like your S11 too. And Gus Gomez, I forgot to say, yeah, you can still carry it. I mean, that Rev7 is I mean, you can feel the weight. It's heavier than something like a DDJ 1000, but it's okay. It's not that heavy. And Paul K, yes, maybe in a year or two you can get it for that price. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna sell new for that price, but yeah. Hitting, I think the SB can fit in your bag. Yeah, most likely. I mean, there's a couple of controllers that can fit in there, but the question was, will the Rev 1 fit? And that's not gonna fit. So the 400 fits. So I assume the SB, I think that's the same size or smaller as the 400. Should probably fit too. What's a good bag for the Rev 7 and laptop for flight travel? Moschino, I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I believe Pioneer has a special bag slash soft flight case for the Rev 7. I don't know if that also holds a laptop. Then again, I'll probably just hold the laptop in a different bag. But beyond that, I'm not sure what's out there. Hitting or the SR? Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know the dimensions of the SB and the SR, but I think if the 400 fits, they'll probably fit as well. DJ Ken YC, do you personally feel any difference at all in performance between phase and a needle? I don't know. Not that much, to be honest. Not that much, to be honest. For me, phase has just worked really well. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of DJs who had issues in the past. Most of them don't have the issues now anymore. But like it feels like it's snappy. So yeah, I mean, there's probably a little difference. I'm pretty sure that if you actually do measurements, there's probably gonna be like a slight difference latency needle compared to using phase, but I don't really notice it. Be interesting to see if the Rev 7 fits in the DDJ 1000 Pioneer soft bag. Uh, it it's just a little bit bigger, so I don't know how roomy the soft bag is, but Pioneer has the soft bag for the Rev 7 as well. So the only way to get back to the beginning of a track, you must use hot cues. I think so. Yeah, I know that is what some people like notice. There's no normal cue button. For me, that was something I definitely don't miss. I never ever in my life ever use the cue button. When I'm playing with CDJs, I don't use the cue button either. I'm still using the hot cues. So I didn't miss it. But yes, if you're used to that cue, you're gonna miss that, and you're gonna have to use a hot cue. But I always have a hot cue at the beginning of all of my songs. If they have a hot cue, there's gonna be one there. So Paul K, I cannot compare the Rev 7 torque to the Rain 1 because I haven't tested the Rain 1 yet. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like the timing was supposed to be, and I didn't plan that because, to be honest, the Rev 7, I had the Rev 7 here on Wednesday or on no Tuesday, I think, and I didn't know I was gonna have that on Tuesday until like Monday night. But I was supposed to have the Rain 1 here already, so I would have had them both here at the same time. But there's been like a delay due to some warehouse issues. I'm gonna have a test unit here. It's gonna be after January 31st, and by that time, the Rev 7 will unfortunately probably be somewhere else for other DJs to test it. Um, so I won't have them here at the same time. So I couldn't do a torque comparison yet. G Swift, I appreciate that follow. Hey, DJ John's Entertainment, I see you. Salute, salute. Andy says, do you think let Record Box use it? If you're talking about the Rev 7, no, that's for Serato. What I do see happening is that at a certain point that you will be able to use a Rev 7 with a Record Box. I think that's going to be some time though. Same with the S9. Like that was originally for Serato. This one is for Serato. So I'm sure there's going to be some deals or licenses in place with a time limit attached to it. So maybe after a certain time, this will also work for record box, but right now it doesn't. And Favor, I feel you. That's what you love about DJing. You can be you, your style, your equipment, and that's what it's all about. So for anyone else with like comparison questions, Rain 1, Rev 7, I still can't answer that. Have not tried the Rain 1. Apparently the audio on the Rev 7 is supposed to be just as good or better than the Rain 1. I think from what I understand, yes, at least as good or better, because they have like proper sound in there. Jim Dead. Moving platters was one of the factors. Bought Denon DN5000 years back, and I didn't want to replace them. That's great. Pioneer did that also even late. I mean, there were more in between, of course. But Denon was there pretty early as well. I don't remember the DN5000 though. I do remember the SC3900. And there were other devices out there. You had that Numark. Numark had that CD player with just the moving vinyl on top. I forgot the name of that one, but that was dope. Then Technics had one as well. Of course, you had the NS7 that came out. And after that, you had some more devices by Rain. So I'm just glad Pioneer just joined the party. Because, let's be honest, hopefully this will trigger other brands to step their game up when it comes to their next controller or next version of a current controller. Juby, want to try out all the equipment, right? Yeah. Leonzo, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to just say it again, bro. You don't have to ask the same question 6 to 8 times. I see you asking the same question like every 3 to 5 minutes. So for other people tuning in as well, I've said this before. Like if I haven't answered your question, ask it again like 15, 20 minutes later. I'm always answering questions, and in the meantime, new questions come in. So it's going to take time for me to get to your questions. Right now, I'm at questions that came in around 27, like 9:27. It's currently 9:52. I have to do some serious catching up because I'm supposed to be on for just 8 more minutes. Not going to make that. So let me continue. And this question I actually already answered. The question that you continuously ask with the perfect set and train wreck. So let's see. Oh, Costa Rica. Got you. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That's why I thought your example didn't make sense, but you were talking about it in that way. So yes, Pioneer comes out with a flagship and then release something that is not a higher level but a lower level. So yes, a 1000 and a later Flex 6, but it wasn't a couple of months though. I remember having that SRT here for a really long time before the Flex 6 came out though. But I understand what you're saying. DJ Resource in the building. Salute. Check this out, peeps. You're probably long gone. I see. Just saw your greet now. Team Vega, what's going on? Oh, why did I say Team Vega? Team EVGA, salute to you. Haven't seen me stream in a long time. That is your fault. I'm here every week. I have a mixed stream on Monday and a Q&A on Wednesday. So you can find me here. Like the only time I didn't stream was a couple of weeks in December, but before that, for the last, like, this is episode 48. So I've been doing it for quite a while now. Let's see. Why can't I read that name? Oh, that's Phase Out. That blue never works in the Restream chat app. I would like Serato to put the flip buttons back on the controllers. Been missing them since the SRT and Rev 7. That's the thing. I hardly ever speak to DJs who use flip. So maybe they just found out that not enough people are using it. But for the people who are having that dedicated flip section, I understand that that's like a major plus indeed. Um, Sai says, does the Rev 7 have pull on the tables as a regular turntable? Pull on the table. I don't know what that exactly means, but the feeling is similar to a turntable. It has less torque than my turntables, a little bit less, I have to say, but I really like the feel, and it is comparable to a turntable feel. What should be the next step of mixer from the DJ SR? The next step up, oof, I have to take a look at the lineup of mixers to properly answer that. To be honest, and like the SR, that is like the from their older Serato style controller. So they moved into the new direction with their Rev actually. Um, Beyond that, the next step up will be a 1000 SRT probably. Do you remember the Technics SLB1? Which one is that again? The SLB1. Which one is the SLB1? The name vaguely rings a bell. I actually want to see which one that is. SLB1? I only see a SLB2 right now. Let's see. SLB1. What was that again? That is a turntable, right? Just one of their really no pictures. Oh, there it is. No, I don't think I remember that one actually. Now that I see it. What is the best Mac to run virtual DJ? I don't know if there is a best Mac. I think you just need to check what virtual DJ requires. On their website, they should have like system requirements that tell you like you need. These are the minimum specifications, and most brands will also give you recommended specifications. So, for instance, if they tell you that you need a, if you're going Mac, you need something that is at least from this generation, and they'll tell you which generation or beyond or later, and how many gigs of RAM and how much free space you need. Like I think Virtual DJ will probably run great on most Macs that are of the right age. Do you think the SZ2 is best for beginners? No. I mean that's a great controller, but that is not a beginner device. That is way beyond beginner. I mean, if you're beginning and you have the budget and you want to buy something like that, you could do it. But if we're talking about beginners who are just starting out, I don't think you should be spending too much money on your gear yet. So you would be looking more at something like a 400 or anything in that range, or maybe something like the Rev 1, but not like an SZ2. But that is a beast though. Yeah, Curtis, the broken feet, I know. And with especially with that brand new pair, like arriving at the hotel, opening the flight cases because I wanted to set up in the hotel room and just do a little bit of practicing and seeing all the broken feet. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. Sven was good. And since 79, I appreciate that follow. MK112, I appreciate that follow. Salute to all of you. Learning Vanders in the building. I saw you once. We're at an event in Nijmegen where Grandmaster Flash was playing too. Did you guys talk, and can you tell a bit about it? Yeah, we did not talk. We did not talk. I opened for Grandmaster Flash at Doornroosje in Nijmegen, and I mean the gig was cool. I received a very long list of tracks that I was not allowed to play. So I received a do not playlist with an incredible amount of hip hop hits on there. And I mean, I understand because Grandmaster Flash had he has a prepared set that goes along with a video story, and he's playing with a DJ setup and also starting videos. So part of that story requires him to play certain tracks. I don't know if there's also a freestyle element in there, but he has. I mean, the list of tracks that I couldn't play is much longer than the tracks he actually played, and there were more requirements. I remember they wanted me to come in early to talk to someone from their team, and I let the venue know, like, well, that's not going to happen. I already have to travel to that city. I'm going to be there in time for my sound check, but I'm definitely not coming in even earlier to talk to that team. I'm doing a warm up set. That's what I come to do. Uh, and I mean, that's where, if you're just starting out and you would get a request like that, then maybe you should actually go. Uh, but at the point where I am at and was at, because that was like 2 years ago, no one's going to summon me to just tell me certain things to do if they're not part of the organization booking me. And so I'm not saying that's flash. I just heard through the venue that some sort of request like that came in from the team. I opened, and I didn't mind the do not play list because I was warming up, and I know what warming up means. So I had tons of tracks I could play. I was also not, because no one was allowed to be on stage when Flash came on the stage. So I had to be off stage before he entered the stage, which I did. I just moved side stage where he couldn't see me because I still had to take my mixer, and I'm not going to wait until after his set to be able to get my equipment. Checked most of his set and bounced after that. So didn't speak to him at all, actually. Oh, the torque field. Got you. So yeah, you do feel I have to be I have to keep my hands a little bit lighter on the Rev7 compared to on my turntable. I can be a little more rough on the turntable. It does have more torque compared to the Rev7. But like I said, like different turntables will feel different as well. So you just get adjusted to the feeling and act accordingly. Oh, I actually caught up. Wow. It's 10-2, and I see that I'm about there. Timbuktu, I see you. Salute to you. And let's see. I think I have the last questions. So yeah, the Ruckus. So the SLB1 was their first turntable. Dope. I had, like, my first turntables were Technics turntables, belt drive, but they were SL 2333 something, but also belt drive, with no pitch control slider, just a little knob you had to turn. And if you wanted to see if you were playing at zero, I talked about this in the podcast that's coming online this week. If you wanted to see if you were at zero, you had to look at the side rings where you have the little dots. And if the light was shining at it, made a straight line, then you were at zero. And otherwise, the line would be like distorted. I mean, it was cool to learn on those, but once you get your hands on direct drive, you do not ever want to go back. Where did my Mixcloud go? Oh, there it is. So Third High Productions. You missed the rest of the live stream. So I talked about this already, but I have not tested the Rain one. I'll have one here in about 3 weeks, and then I can finally talk about Rain one. How long did it take to get good at scratching on turntables? Someone else asked this question as well, Roadrunner, and I didn't keep track of time. I just know it took me months and months and months and months and months and months, and even now there's still room for improvement. So I have no answer on how long it took, and I love Phase. I couldn't live without it anymore. I mean, I can, and especially like in 2 weeks, I'm doing another all vinyl gig here, live stream. So then I'm not using Phase. So of course I can play without Phase, but yeah, if I'm doing a gig playing DVS style, Phase all day. Love it. Oh no, learning. I mean, to be honest, let's just keep it real. It wasn't a shitty experience. Like I had a great warm up set. Love doing it. It was fun to see the concept that they had with Flash, with the show he does, and parts of it were pretty cool to see. And in this case, I don't have any like bad feelings about that gig at all. It was just funny to me, like the do not play list and special demands and not being on stage. I mean, it was a little bit different, but hey, like some people will want that, like they want that experience that way. I'm perfectly fine with that. Let's see. Vinyl Touch had asked if you found any annoying things about control placements on the Rev 7, accidentally hitting controls while mixing. I haven't had that happen actually. Like on Monday during the mix, nothing strange happened up until now. Yeah, everything feels great. I haven't had any like crazy things because everything feels like it is where it's supposed to be for me. Costa Rica remembers the light at the side of the turntable. Yeah, yeah, crazy, right? Like remembering that. No pitch slider where you can go to 0, or on the new turntables where you actually have a reset button to go to 0. No, you have to look at that little light to see if you're playing at 0. Yeah, but fun times though, man. I mean, I had a great time learning on those, and you really appreciate once you get better tech. But anyone buying turntables now, I would never tell people like, hey, start with a belt drive, learn with that, and then move to direct drive. No, 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 no. Save yourself that drama of the belt drive. And if you move it and you let it go and you don't give it enough power, it has the startup issue. Or if you're scratching and you give it too much power, it moves forward too fast. Yeah. Kenny Rames, salute to you. I see you. Welcome, even though the stream is ending. I was supposed to end 5 minutes ago. Who ate my sandwich had a question. Do you need a special needle for scratching? I want to start doing that in about a month. I don't want to break the needles. I mean, certain needles will work better for scratching, and especially nowadays, you have needles that are actually labeled as scratch needles or for scratch DJ. So yes, certain needles won't appreciate the violence that we inflict on the needles. So the Shure M447s were great for that. They don't make those anymore, but there's a replacement brand from Japan called Jiko, and they make the J44s. They make a needle that is just like that just like that Shure needle. Those are great for scratching. And Artefon also has a couple of needles that are really good for scratching as well. So yes, getting a special scratch needle is a better option. So Brunwitsky, do I think Rain will counter the Rev 7 in the near future? Well, near future, I don't know. Not sure about that. I mean, I think you would have to think like what would they do to counter? Like in my opinion, and I haven't given it a lot of thought because I still haven't had the Rain 1. Once I have it in person, I'll see. But I think one of the things they should do is move in that same direction. So imagine if you had the Rain, whatever you want to call it, the Rain 1. They usually work with Mark II. So a Rain 1 Mark II, or call it a Rain 2. But just imagine if they would have the middle section of that controller, if that was a 72. A layout similar to a Rain 72 with that screen in the middle, with your performance pads in the middle, just like on a Rev 7. Because I feel a lot of DJs, now that they see this layout and they look at their Rain 1 again, they're like, that feels better for me. I mean, I can only assume, but I think a lot of people, if they're buying motorized controllers, they either come from turntables and they're used to that style already, or it's the style that they want to go for. And before the Rev 7 came out, I hadn't even given it any thought. Like, hey, why don't controllers have that layout? I've honestly, never thought about that until I saw that that Rev 7, and I was like, oh wow, that actually works. That feels amazing. So imagine if Rain would have a controller and they would have a 72 in the middle. Just that change alone would do a lot. So then you would also move the performance pads away from under the jog wheels where they are now in the Rain 1. And yeah, Ruckus, I mean, that's something I heard too, and I still have to look at that. The fact that they put the right platter off center, they should make that more symmetrical as well. But if you have that mixer section in the middle, just put the platters just symmetrical. I think that alone would be a major improvement. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Das Hog, salute to you. And Hype Roadrunner says, I got the XL Stream Deck. Is it easy to set up for live streaming? Easy, yeah. The thing is with the Stream Deck, there's so much you can do with it. I have the XL right here as well. I mean, I still have to really take more advantage of the things you can do with it. But for instance, now I have it on a page that is strictly set up to control my two key lights. So I can turn those on and off here, change their temperature, change their intensity. But then again, I have different screens. I have one, this is set up for streams. I can go into my crates, and then I have a whole section with scenes in OBS that I can control. I have an intro screen. I'm going to press end in a second, and then we're going to switch to an end screen. And there's more buttons that I still have to implement more. But then there's a lot more you can do with it besides that I still haven't even properly done that. So for instance, I have controls for Adobe Premiere in here. A lot of different controls, just short hotkeys for Adobe Premiere. I can start more software with it. So there's a lot you can do, and I still have to discover more. I can start my phase manager from here when I have to set it up. You can do a lot of automation type stuff. So I still have to do more research. But you have the Stream Deck app that comes with it, which makes it pretty easy to change layouts and add more. But then when I see some videos of what people do with their Stream Decks, I'm like, wow, there's so much more I can do with this. And the Ruck is a good point. Another thing about belt drive turntables is that the belts wear out. Yeah. And the difference, like, again, the podcast is coming out, that episode. My next episode is about gear. So I was talking about that. Like, going from a belt drive turntable to the direct drive was like going from a bicycle to a supercar. Like, the difference was incredible. Chris on the mix, you made this happen. You thought about it, and then we got it. So we have to thank you. Jet Sounds, greetings to you. All right, so so this was the Stream Deck XL, if that was the question. And salute to all of you. I got to go back to work over here. I have to go back to finishing the track list for my Crates episode 46 Certified Bangers, because the audio replay has to go online. Have to get those track lists ready. Excuse me. So I want to salute and shout out all of you. To the people on Mixcloud, I want to thank you for tuning in as well. So Favor, much love, and Boogie Beats. Learn Evanders, I appreciate the bits. Costa Rica, The Ruckus, Chris on the Mix, Jet Sounds, Das Hog, DJ Roadrunner, Wait My Sandwich, Brunwitsky, Paul K, Kenny Rames, salute, 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 Vinyl Touch, Ron Stew, I appreciate that follow, I see you, salute, Third High Production, and Sven, Lumumba Moody, I see you. Oh, I haven't even had your question yet. Is the Rev7 and the SRT similar in size? Ooh, you missed that part. I actually did that comparison right here in the stream. They are about the same size. It's very close. The Rev7 is a little bit bigger, but they're really close. Entrance 88, 88, I see you. The Numark HDX, thank you. That's the one, indeed. Sai, Timbuktu, I see all of you. I'm going to stop scrolling now because there's way too many of y'all. Team EVGA, I see you as well. Jarvis, Megawatt the DJ, much love, much love. DJ ASB, Hoyt, and Dui. because I'm just about done. Mowbray, aka the Lurker. Yo, much love to all of you. So I'm going into my stream deck right now, and I'm gonna push this a little. Bring myself back here. But the layout I was just using isn't in here. That's too bad, because this layout doesn't really make sense now. If you haven't seen my Rev7 video, no, I should be on, right? You have audio. Yeah, I changed scenes. Some scenes didn't have the mic on. That was why you didn't hear me. Check out that Rev7 first look. Check out that Saturday sessions with the Rev7. And I have the new series that I'm working on now, the Breakdown, aka Break It Down, where I break down individual patterns from my Saturday sessions video. There's also a podcast video online right now. More on the way. Consistency is the key, baby. That's it for 2022. Now I'm going to be out. See y'all hopefully on Monday. And what am I doing on Monday? No, I don't know what I'm going to use yet. I might still have the Rev7 here. Or should I do a set on the Rev1? We'll see. Tune in on Monday, and otherwise I'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.